Counting up on the alum on the most recent episode of their podcast, Jinger Duggar Vuolo discusses the early difficulties she encountered with Jeremy. During the previous 3 weeks, the married pair has been keeping themselves occupied by producing podcast videos. They talked a wide range of topics pertaining to their life, particularly during the program and related to their youth. Nevertheless, Jinger stunned viewers when she discussed the identity struggles she experienced during the first year of her relationship with Jeremy. Continue reading to become aware of her admissions. The new Los Angeles residents of Jinger Duggar and Jeremy Vuolo. Counting on your support. The choice that Jinger and Jeremy made to leave their house in Los Angeles was one of the most significant updates that they provided. A great number of Counting On viewers were taken aback by the decision made by the married couple, particularly when taking into consideration all of the improvements that they have done to the property. It has just been 2 years since they moved into that location. However, there were allegations that they sold it for a price that was lower than what they had asked for, which led to conjecture that they are having financial difficulties. As Jeremy is employed as a pastor at Masters University and Seminary, the couple relocated to a new residence in Los Angeles. The home had previously been held by the institution. There was a crisis of identity that Jinger battled. Not so long ago, Jinger uploaded a new podcast episode on YouTube in order to share it with Jeremy. During the program, the former cast member of Counting On said, "I am going through an identity crisis." The woman, who is a mother to 2 young children, claims that her upbringing was a big factor in the difficulties she encountered during the first year of her marriage to Jeremy. She admitted that she was feeling intimidated by the changes that were occurring in her life, and she said that she had grown up in a home where she always carried a security blanket with her whenever she went outside. As a consequence of this, she was really anxious about going out for coffee with a friend by herself. It is certain that Jinger Duggar Vuolo will ultimately adjust to her new existence. After stepping outside of her comfort zone, she said that something shifted in her life. "My identity problem consisted of the question, okay." She went on to say, "I am aware of who I was within my family, but who am I as an individual at this point?" We are anticipating that Jinger Duggar will be a guest on another podcast. In addition, Jinger shared a new video clip on Instagram that featured her as a guest on another show. The former member of Counting On discussed the advantages and disadvantages of growing up in the television industry. Jinger Duggar Vuolo also discussed the perils of being forced to adhere to a core Christian ideology and how she was able to liberate herself from this constraint. Alhamdulillah. Jinger Duggar's life in the spotlight. Born into the famous Duggar family, Jinger Duggar Vuolo's life has been anything but ordinary. As one of the stars of the hit TLC series 19 Kids and Counting and its spin-off Counting On, Jinger's life has unfolded on camera, from childhood through her courtship and eventual marriage to Jeremy Vuolo. But behind the smiles and picture-perfect family, there are deeper emotions and struggles she has bravely opened up about. One of the most significant revelations Jinger has shared involves her personal fears in marriage, drawing attention to how she has navigated love, faith, and self-identity in a very public world. Growing Up Duggar, The Foundations of Fear. To understand Jinger's revelations about her marriage, it's crucial to explore her upbringing in the Duggar household. Raised with conservative Christian values, Jinger's worldview was shaped by her parents' strict rules, especially regarding relationships and marriage. The Duggar family followed the teachings of the Institute in Basic Life Principles (IBLP), a religious organization led by Bill Gothard, which emphasized male authority, female submission, and courtship over dating. Growing up in this environment, Jinger was taught that her future husband would be her spiritual leader, and her role as a wife would be one of submission and obedience. While many people viewed her courtship with Jeremy as a modern fairy tale, Jinger has revealed that stepping into marriage came with a set of fears ingrained from her early life. These fears didn't simply dissolve with her wedding vows, but rather lingered, making her question whether she could find true freedom within the confines of marriage. Religious expectations and fear. Jinger's early life was framed by the expectation that she would marry a man who shared her family's strict beliefs. The fear of not meeting these expectations or somehow falling short spiritually weighed heavily on her. Could she truly submit to her husband as her faith required? What would happen if she failed to be the ideal wife? Love and courtship. Jeremy Vuolo and the beginning of a new journey. Jeremy Vuolo entered Jinger's life in 2016, and their courtship unfolded in front of the counting on cameras. Unlike Jinger's parents, Jeremy had a more modern approach to faith and marriage, giving Jinger the freedom to break away from some of the rigid practices she grew up with. Their love story appeared idyllic, but in interviews and in her memoir Becoming Free Indeed, Jinger has hinted at the complexities that came with her transition into married life. A love story under scrutiny. Fans watched Jinger and Jeremy fall in love, but few were aware of the emotional struggle that Jinger faced behind the scenes. Moving from her sheltered family environment to a new city and a more independent life came with challenges that left Jinger feeling isolated and uncertain. The pressure of expectations. While Jeremy offered her a new sense of freedom, Jinger still carried the weight of expectations from her upbringing. Would she be able to fulfill her role as a wife without losing her sense of self? And how would her family react to her and Jeremy's more progressive approach to faith and marriage? The weight of fear. Jinger's struggles in early marriage. After their wedding in November 2016, Jinger and Jeremy moved to Laredo, Texas, where Jeremy was serving as a pastor. It was a huge adjustment for Jinger, who had never lived far from her large family in Arkansas. Jinger has since admitted that she faced intense fears during the early days of her marriage, some of which stemmed from the pressure to be the perfect wife. Fear of failure. Jinger has spoken about how she feared failing her husband, both spiritually and emotionally. The traditional teachings she grew up with emphasized a wife's submission and obedience, and Jinger often worried that she wasn't living up to these ideals. In her mind, any misstep could mean she was failing not only Jeremy, but also God. Identity crisis. Jinger also struggled with finding her own identity outside of her role as Jeremy's wife. After being in the Duggar household for so long, where she was known as one of the Duggar daughters, she now had to navigate life as Jinger Vuolo. This transition left her questioning who she was beyond her family name and faith. The strain of public scrutiny. Being in the public eye added another layer of pressure. As fans closely followed their marriage on Counting On, Jinger felt like she had to present a perfect image to the world. Behind the scenes, however, she was battling fear and anxiety about whether she could truly thrive in her new life. Becoming Free. Jinger's journey to overcome fear. Despite the struggles she faced early in her marriage, Jinger has come a long way in learning how to cope with and overcome her fears. In recent years, she has been more open about her mental and emotional journey, speaking out about the fears she harbored in her marriage and how she learned to confront them. Breaking away from the past. One of the biggest steps in Jinger's journey was distancing herself from some of the more extreme religious beliefs she was raised with. Jinger has spoken candidly about how she no longer follows the teachings of Iblp, choosing instead to embrace a more personal and individualized faith. This shift allowed her to let go of many of the fears that plagued her early in her marriage. Therapy and self-discovery. Jinger has also revealed that therapy played a significant role in helping her confront her fears. Through therapy, she was able to work through her feelings of inadequacy and fear of failure, ultimately gaining a stronger sense of self. In addition, therapy helped her develop healthier communication patterns with Jeremy, allowing their marriage to grow stronger as a result. A stronger marriage. Jinger and Jeremy today. Today, Jinger and Jeremy's marriage seems stronger than ever. They've settled into life as parents to 2 daughters, Felicity and Evangeline, and continue to share their lives with fans through social media and their podcast, The Hope We Hold. Jinger's willingness to be vulnerable about her struggles has resonated with many, offering hope to others who may be facing similar challenges in their marriages. Embracing authenticity. One of the biggest lessons Jinger has learned is the importance of being authentic. By opening up about her fears and struggles, she has been able to break free from the pressure to be perfect and instead focus on building a marriage based on honesty and mutual respect. Faith in a new light. While Jinger's faith remains an important part of her life, she no longer feels bound by the legalistic teachings she grew up with. Instead, she has embraced a more grace-filled approach to both her marriage and her personal faith journey. This has allowed her to experience more freedom and joy in her relationship with Jeremy. Jinger's courage to speak out. Jinger Duggar Vuolo's revelation of the fears she faced in her marriage highlights the complexities of balancing love, faith, and personal growth. Her journey from a young girl raised with strict religious teachings to a woman who has learned to embrace authenticity and freedom is inspiring. While her marriage to Jeremy may look perfect from the outside, Jinger's willingness to share her struggles reminds us that no relationship is without its challenges. Through faith, therapy, and self-discovery, Jinger has been able to overcome her fears and build a stronger, healthier marriage with Jeremy.